This week in comics and books news, we have some noteworthy new books have just been announced, not the least of which being the new 2099 universe that we talked about a couple weeks, months back. Yeah, that's basically all we got, so let's get into it. Hello, nerds, and welcome to this week's episode of the news as it pertains to comic books and books. No discussion of current storylines, story arcs, or any of those kind of details is going to happen here per se. I am, after all, a one-man organization and can't read every book that comes out and report on it and any of the news therein. But we can talk about new announcements and major changes as they pertain to any of the publishers that we follow, or just generally nerdy literary information in that sense. So let's get into all of that, shall we? And also, if you dig what's going on here, there is a much more up-to-date and possibly relevant, because it takes a second to get these sections posted up, so probably much more up-to-date version of the news in long form I like to call The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, which you can find linked in the description as well as at the end of this video. That show covers many more points of interest in the nerd community, in the pop culture community at large, and so definitely go check that out. Now let's get into all of those literary notes, shall we? Nothing to follow up on, technically speaking. No corrections to make, so let's just talk about some regular old news, shall we? This week, we had the announcement of a kind of inevitable announcement, I think. If you didn't see this one coming, you haven't been paying attention. That is Alien versus Avengers, or Aliens, I guess. They added the S because that's noteworthy to fans of the franchise. But Aliens versus Avengers, this is kind of, yeah, again, this was inevitable. Once Marvel purchased the right, or the franchise for Aliens, they were gonna work it into the superhero universe eventually, right? So it is going to be a 4-part miniseries. It's going to be written by none freaking other than Jonathan Hickman, who, if you don't know who Jonathan Hickman is, you really must do a little Google search of his name. Also on the project is going to be art from Esad Ribic, who has done things like Thor, the God of Thunder, plus a Silver Surfer. The book will be launching July 24th of this year. Super intrigued to see what the hell they do with aliens in the Marvel superhero universe, because, I don't know, xenomorphs are kind of hard to kill, and unless you're super powered, in which point, why would you add that to, I don't know, it's just a weird, Hickman's gonna knock it out of the park, I'm sure, but I'm very cautious about what's about to happen here. So our next piece has to do with the 2099, the reboot universe that we talked about. I believe it was like 2 months ago, maybe even longer ago than that. 2099 is going to be, there's going to be 5 one-shot issues that are going to be coming out in July, once a week. So I guess starting in July and ending in August. But we have Steve Orlando is going to be writing them, and then the art is going to be from a number of artists. We have Nick Bradshaw, Ibraim Roberson, Jose Luis, Pete Woods, Ario Anindito, and Dale Eaglesham are going to be doing the art for these books. The books are going to be featuring Nova, Star-Lord, Red Hulk, Silver Surfer, and Dracula. I think there were going to be more, but those are the big ones. We got the covers for these ones. And yeah, just each one is going to be a one-shot from what it looks like, pushing into this new 2099 universe that they have created. I just consult the other video because we went into greater detail as to what exactly was going to be happening with 2099 in this reboot. It's not 100% new, but it's also not exactly what it once was. So yeah, that's what we got on that one. Let's move next to a new graphic novel that was announced from DC. This one is The Blue Beetle. It's going to be a standalone graphic novel written by Julio Anta, art by Jacoby Salcedo. So difference between graphic novel and trade being what is the collection of the single issues, and a graphic novel is written all together as one big story. So that's a interesting way of reintroducing this character, I think, because this is going to be a reintroduction into who Jaime Reyes is and how he gets the scarab, etc., etc., etc. Jaime is one of my favorite of the newer creations in the DC universe, so I'm kind of intrigued by it. I don't know, from what I've seen from the previews, the art doesn't look super awesome, but if the story's great, I can totally get past mediocre art. Very intrigued by this, but October 1st is when it's going to be hitting shelves at your local comic book shop, so definitely put that on your pull list and do yourselves a favor and read it, because Jaime is, again, one of the greatest. One of the new greats, I should say. That being said, that's all we have for news this week.
Why do I get the impression you forgot to push the subscribe button? I mean, it's free, so go ahead and do that, and, yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks. We'll get back to the show now. Okay, bye.
Let's talk now about suggestions. Our suggestion is The Hulk #1, January of 2008. If you're trying to buy a loose issue, good luck, because they go for quite a bit. But if you can get your hands on a digital version from the Marvel, or whatever the Marvel situation is right now for digital, then absolutely go read it. It's written by Jeff Loeb. It's art from Ed McGuinness. This is the first appearance of the Red Hulk, as I did, specifically Thaddeus Ross as the Red Hulk, Thaddeus Ross, the stepfather of Bruce Banner, etc., etc. With the new movie coming out, with all of this stuff going on around Harrison Ford playing Thaddeus Ross and very likely playing the Red Hulk, I think this is a great way to introduce anyone who is unfamiliar with the Red Hulk to who that character really is. And Jeff Loeb is one of the greats when it comes to writing, so you can't go wrong. Go read Hulk #1, and then maybe even the rest of the arc from January 2008. That is your suggestion for the week. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.